Janie, it's beautiful. Thank you. Isn't it beautiful?
Well, I'd hardly call a steam iron beautiful, but you can't beat it for pressing a man's suit.
Oh, girls, I really had no idea that you were going to do all this for me.
Oh, I'll get it. Hi, Carl.
Hello, Janie. Is Ellen here?
Sure, come on in.
What's going on here?
Just a little surprise for your girlfriend.
Hi, darling.
I don't understand.
Well, the girls decided to give me a surprise shower. Wasn't that sweet of them?
A shower, but we're not...
Well, I told them they were rushing things a little, but they're convinced that it's only a matter of minutes until we're man and wife.
Well, we're expected at my house for dinner. We'd better get going.
Oh, what about all the loot? I mean, did you have your dad's car with you?
Yeah.
Come on, let's give him a hand. Oh, pretty. I'm not too bad.
You haven't said a word since we left Janie's. Carla, I know what you must be thinking, but... Well, I didn't tell Janie or anyone else that we were going to be married soon. I can't help it if the girls decided to give me a shower. But I know what it must look like to you, and I...
Okay, baby, I'm sorry. I'm a brute. It's just that, well, you know how I feel about our getting married before things are right. Forgive me?
Did everybody have enough to eat?
Yes,
thank you.
I guess so, Mom. If I can have seconds on pie and ice cream.
Seconds and thirds. There's another pie and plenty of ice cream.
Oh.
Oh, and there's half a chicken left over in the refrigerator for later on when you get a little hungry. You know, 10:30.
Have you kids decided on a date yet?
No, Dad, we haven't.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Well, as I told you, I want to be set before I start making definite plans.
But you are set in the store with me.
I don't see any sense in discussing this again right now.
Well, there's no time like the present. You know, I didn't build up the only department store in this town just for myself.
Oh, Mary, have you decided what you're cooking for the church supper Saturday?
Yes, I'm going to make a couple of pot roasts.
That was the idea of your going to business college, wasn't it?
Well, things were different then.
What things?
Well, the store was showing a profit when I started school.
Oh, just because we're in the middle of a little temporary slump.
Everybody else is showing bigger volume than ever before. Your business is way off, and you call it a temporary slump? It's a sag, not a slump.
People in this town will get tired driving 12 miles each way to shop in that new department store in Meadsville. It's just sort of a fad, that's all.
Some fad has been going on for a year and a half, ever since the store was built. You're not going to get customers back in our place until you learn to compete with competition. You've got to bring your merchandising up to date.
Did you hear that, George? 2 years of business school, he knows all about running a business that I built up from nothing over a period of 25 years.
Yes, I know how these young fellows are.
Jack, this is hardly the time to...
Why not? George and Mary have a perfect right to know how their prospective son-in-law thinks.
The store is hardly supporting one family right now, is it? How can it support two?
Well, now, like I said, we're in a little bit of a slump. But I've still got a few dollars in the bank. And I can still afford to pay my son a decent salary so he can get married.
What are you offering me now, charity?
Charity?
I'm sorry, Dad, that was a rotten thing to say, but I've got to think of my family's future. I've decided the best thing for me and my family is a position with a solid, dependable firm, a big firm. Big business is security.
So you're all set to bury the small businessman in this country, huh?
No, only the small businessman who refuses to keep pace with the changing times.
Which means you think I'm an old fogey.
You're putting the words in my mouth.
Then I'll put some more. What you call security is just another name for fear. You're afraid. Afraid to stand on your own 2 feet. You want someone else to take the risk and protect you. You're running scared, that's all. Why not face it?
Pardon me.
Excuse me. Carl, wait a minute.
This seems to be my day. I can't open my mouth without getting into an argument. First you, and then Dad, and...
Your father didn't mean that about your being afraid. It's just that he's planned on your going into the store for so many years, and you refuse.
Do you think I ought to?
I think you should do whatever you feel is best for you.
For us, Ellen.
best for you is best for us.
Ellen, I want you to understand just what's in my mind. I spent 18 months in the Army and 2 years in business college. All that time I've been thinking, trying to figure out my future. Right now, I have to be very, very careful. That's why I don't want to get married. Not until I'm sure where I'm going.
Well, as long as you're working for your father and until you can find what you really want to do, I could get a job.
No.
Carla, I wouldn't mind, really. I could work at least until I couldn't work any longer. You know what I mean.
Yeah, that's just it, don't you see? That's just what I'm trying to avoid.
What's what you're trying to avoid?
Getting trapped into a situation by circumstances so that I'll be stuck with it for life.
Trapped? Is that what marrying me means to you, a trap?
No, of course not, Ellen. It was just an expression to explain how I...
Pretty clear expression. That is why you don't want to get married, isn't it?
Well, in a way, yes. But I do want to get married eventually.
I don't blame your father. You are selfish. You don't care about anything or anybody but yourself.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm not going to trap you. I won't be a ball and chain around your neck. You're free. You're free as a bird, and you can do whatever you want to do.
Ellen! Ellen!
Well, what do you expect?
What do you mean?
Well, you haven't tried to call him or get in touch with him in the past 4 days either, have you?
Why should I?
Well, why should Carl? You're the one that told him never to darken your doorstep again.
You mean you think I should make the first move?
Well, don't you suppose he has a little pride, too? I mean, you tell him to go jump, and then you expect him to come back crawling, begging forgiveness?
After all those things he said to me.
Well, what about the things you said to him? Hey, now he's still the guy you want to marry, isn't he?
Well, yes.
Then don't be foolish. Get on down to the store and start patching things up.
Just like that?
Just like that.
What'll I say?
Oh, I'm sure you'll think of something once you get there. Now, come on, get going.
Come on.
Hello, Landis Department Store.
I wanted to talk to you. I thought maybe we could go for a drive. Well, I'm right here at the corner of 5th.
I'll be right over.
I'll be waiting. And I'm sorry for all those things I said to you. I had no call to carry on like that. Aren't you going to say anything?
That's better than talking. I talk altogether too much sometimes.
Sometimes we both do.
Any special place you'd like to drive?
Well, I do have to go to Meadsville either today or tomorrow. And since we're halfway there,
Where in Meadsville?
the S&H Redemption Center on Lock Ridge.
S&H? Oh, those stamp things. I didn't know you bothered with them.
Everybody in my family does, for years.
Why?
Well, today I'm going to get a toaster for the house. The old one gave up the ghost yesterday, and then Sunday is Daddy's birthday, and Mother and I are going to give him a watch.
Well, it's really none of my business, but you know, of course, you pay for those things. You're only kidding yourself.
Well, that's not true. We always shop in places that give S&H stamps, and we've compared the prices. And the stores that give them are just as reasonable as any other stores, sometimes even more reasonable.
That's silly. How could they be? Stores have to pay for the stamps, so they have to add to the price of the items they sell. That's logic.
Well, I don't know how it works, but I do know it pays us to shop where they give S&H stamps.
It doesn't add up. That's one thing my dad and I agree on. We wouldn't have those stamps in our store on a bet.
Now, I don't want to start an argument with you.
Yeah, let's not. What about the church supper tonight? You going?
Well, I'm waiting for someone to ask me.
Consider yourself asked.
Well, here's Lockridge Boulevard. What number was it?
723. Well, there it is, just down the street.
Looks like a pretty fair racket.
Well, maybe if you're good, you'll get one of them as a present.
2.5 books. That doesn't sound like much. How long does it take to save that many stamps?
Depends on how much shopping the family does. About 5 weeks, more or less.
Can I help you?
Yes, we want to look at a toaster and a man's watch.
Well, the toasters are over here. This Toastmaster is the newest and the best in the market. Completely automatic.
Hey, that's pretty neat. Really automatic.
Makes pretty wonderful toast, too. Janie has one. I'll take one of these. Now, about that watch.
Well, they're right over here.
I'm interested in a Longines.
You mean you can actually get a Longines watch for these stamps?
Here you are.
How about this one? Think you'll like it?
It's a beauty.
I'll take it. I think I have just enough books. I checked the amounts in your catalog.
Thank you.
This is quite a business.
Well, potato salad. Oh, how I like potato salad. Yeah. Well, you two look mighty happy.
Well, we are, aren't
You
we?
are. That's wonderful. Thank you.
I have something to tell you. What is it? See? Oh, Ellen, oh, congratulations. You're Very good. Right.
Well, what happened to you two? You get lost?
Oh, that's a fine thing to ask an engaged couple.
And it's official now.
My little girl's grown up. Congratulations, son.
Congratulations. I am Elliot Winston.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Winston, Carl Landis.
How do you do?
Of course, we know Ellen.
Well, Mr. Winston is superintendent of our Sunday school, and he also works with the Y.
Well.
Yes, and beside his regular job, he works for the Chamber of Commerce. He's president